Hi, Total Recaps here. Today, we will be going through the events of the 2008 sci-fi action movie Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, directed by Guillermo del Toro. Now warning, this video contains spoilers, so watch at your own risk. Now let's get right into the movie. The movie begins with a scene of Christmas Eve in 1955, when a teenage Hellboy is getting ready for bed and asks his father, Professor Bruttenholm, for a bedtime tale. Hellboy is then told about a fable between a conflict of humans and the inhabitants of the supernatural world by the professor. The king of the magical elfin race, King Balor, ordered the development of a golden army consisting of 70 magical mechanical soldiers. Balor was given a crown, allowing him or anybody of royal lineage to lead the army. However, Balor felt overwhelmed by regret after the Golden Army attacked the people without compassion. He really wanted to show that he loves peace. The warring parties agreed to a peace with humans taking control of the towns and Balor's elves remaining in the forest. Balor shattered his crown as a peace sacrifice, giving one piece to the humans while retaining the other two for himself. Balor's son, Prince Nuada, was one of the few who opposed the truce. The prince escaped to exile, promising to return when his people required him, and the Golden Army went underground. In the current day, a strange albino guy is practicing swordsmanship. The guy is none other than Prince Nuada. He is on his way back from exile and wants to get his kingdom back. He is accompanied by Mr. Wink, a monster who obeys his every direction and orders. He learns that a prominent auction house is selling numerous valuable items, including a part of the golden crown belonging to mankind. Nuada appears, snatches the crown fragment, and summons plenty of strange creatures to kill the humans. Elsewhere, Agent Tom Manning meets with Abe Sapien at the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense. Manning is still furious with Hellboy, the BPRD is still a covert operation, but Hellboy continues to appear in public. Hellboy's relationship with Liz Sherman is tight at the moment, according to Abe, which might be the source of Hellboy's unpredictable behavior. Hellboy is blown through the wall of his chamber at that very time. His pyrokinetic lover Liz had grown enraged and utilized her fire powers to propel him into the air. In the next scene, we see the Hellboy team being dispatched to the auction house to investigate the event. In one final attempt to encourage Hellboy to be discreet in his employment, Manning offers him a packet of Cuban cigars as a bribe. At the auction house, Hellboy and the others realize that none of the 70-plus guests have survived. Abe scours the writings for clues as to what could have triggered such an attack. He discovers boxes with a royal seal and learns what the boxes may have contained. Little winged creatures known as tooth fairies because they feed on calcium. Abe lays his hand close to Liz and senses that she is pregnant while utilizing his psychic abilities to find the creatures. The voracious tooth fairies suddenly attack Hellboy and his fellow agents. Liz summons her fire powers to eliminate the creatures, but Hellboy is forced to fight outside in front of the press reporters. The BPRD is now exposed to the rest of the globe. Meanwhile, Prince Nuada and Mr. Wink arrive at King Balor's palace to meet with him. Balor is happy to let the truce between humans exist, and his daughter Nuala, Nuada's twin sister, completely agrees. However, Prince Nuada believes that humanity's greed and stupidity would eventually drive the mystical species extinct. In the evening, Hellboy watches the news on himself and the other agents. He is ecstatic, but Liz, who is secretly taking a pregnancy test, is enraged that Hellboy made the results public since she despises people staring at her. As a result of Hellboy's recent acts, Tom Manning informs Hellboy that Washington is dispatching a new BPRD agent. Hellboy is not thrilled at hearing the news. Meanwhile, Nuada goes to meet his father, King Balor, and the discussion between them about the king's earlier decision continues. Nuada isn't about to give up, so he'll go to any lengths to keep the magical realm secure from humans. Finally, out of disagreement, Nuada assassinates his father and seizes the second half of the throne. Witnessing this, Nuala gets frightened and runs away from her brother, taking the last piece of the crown with her. Johann Kraus, BPRD's new representative, is expected to arrive any day now. Kraus is a strange entity, a containment suit sized like a man storing pure ectoplasmic energy. Kraus examines the Tooth Fairy's remains. He injects it with a sample of ectoplasmic energy to bring it back to life momentarily so that they may learn more. As the Tooth Fairy starts speaking in a different language, Kraus deciphers the creature's speech, recalling troll languages and other trade noises. Kraus understands the monsters come from the fabled troll market, a gathering place for supernatural beings. According to rumors, the troll market is located beneath the Brooklyn Bridge, so Kraus leads the crew to look for it. Johann Kraus equips the squad with time dilation spectacles that allow them to see past magical beings' deceptions. They eventually come upon a creature known as a Fragglewump, who wants to bring them straight to the troll market's entrance. Meanwhile, Hellboy is overjoyed to be able to wander among the market's animals without feeling like a freak or an outsider. Abe notices a hooded figure going away wearing the same type of royal seal as the Tooth Fairies, and decides to investigate on his own. It appears to be Princess Nuala, who has come to the market's library to receive a cylinder that her father has concealed. Abe follows her into the room and confronts her. Nuala is discovered to possess the same psychic abilities as Abe. They then learn about one another through hand gestures. Suddenly, Mr. Wink enters at that point and assaults Nuala. Hellboy also appears at the moment and battles Wink while Abe pushes her to run. Finally, after a tough battle, Hellboy becomes victorious. They talk with Princess Nuala, who says that she has the last piece of her father's crown, as well as a cylinder from the library with a map to the Golden Army's position. Because of the laws, Kraus is concerned about taking the princess back to BPRD, but Hellboy opposes him. Later on, Prince Nuada arrives and becomes enraged at the death of his friend. He throws out a little seed which Hellboy ignores. It transforms into a multi-tentacled monster, a forest elemental, in an instant. Hellboy switches in his famous Samaritan handgun for a massive 6-barreled minigun nicknamed Big Baby after sighting the huge beast. Hellboy saves a human child from impending death during the confrontation with the elemental. Hellboy finally kills the creature and ends the fight. However, the public taunts and jeers Hellboy for putting a child at risk. Humans refer to Hellboy as a freak. Later, Liz patches up with Hellboy, who is perplexed by the humans' reaction. Liz informs Hellboy that she is leaving because she has to think. Hellboy immediately believes that their love is doomed and begs her to stay. She then challenges Hellboy to choose between the world's acceptance and her approval. Abe speaks with Nuala, who reveals that she has a psychic link with her brother, and now that Abe has shown her the BPRD location, Nuada knows where she is. The third crown component is then hidden by Nuala in one of Abe's novels. In the next scene, Johann Kraus confronts Hellboy in the locker room. Kraus wants Hellboy to start obeying his commands and tells him that if they had to fight, Kraus would most likely win. Hellboy then breaks the containment suit's helmet. Kraus's ectoplasmic force takes over the locker doors, crushing Hellboy multiple times before leaving. Abe, who is in the middle of listening to a collection of popular love songs, runs into Hellboy. He realizes that Abe has fallen in love with the princess. The two best buddies become drunk and start talking about their relationships. When Liz comes in on them enraged, Abe is about to confess to Hellboy why Liz has been acting so strangely recently. Suddenly, Nuada invades the BPRD, obtains the Golden Army map, and kidnaps Nuala. He also sends a psychic message to Abe promising to spare their life and free Nuala provided they bring the third crown piece to the army's location. Nuada then drives an enchanted spear into Hellboy's chest and leaves. The spearhead cannot be withdrawn from Hellboy's chest despite the finest medical attempts. Any effort to remove the spearhead causes it to creep closer to Hellboy's heart. In agony, Hellboy confesses to Liz that she is more important to him than everything else in his life. Meanwhile, Abe searches his book for the third crown piece. According to the BPRD's analysis of the fragments of King Balor's map, the Golden Army is located in Northern Ireland. Liz wants to send Hellboy there so that he might be healed, but Manning and Kraus are ready to let Hellboy die in order to prevent the Golden Army from rising. An enraged Liz scolds Johann for his behavior and storms out. Abe and Liz, determined to help their friend, decide to take Hellboy without permission. Kraus approaches them as they leave, and to everyone's amazement, he offers to assist. The gang meets a goblin in Ireland who offers to bring them to the Golden Army in exchange for something sparkling. The goblin notices the spearhead gleaming beneath Hellboy's bandages and offers to assist in its removal in exchange for the spearhead. They are brought before a weird winged creature. It is the Death Angel. The angel is familiar with Liz and Hellboy, whom he refers to as a Nung Unrama, and has been waiting for them. The angel seems unconcerned whether Hellboy lives or dies, but Liz begs him for help. Despite the angel's warning that Hellboy's survival will eventually lead to Earth's destruction, and that Liz will suffer the most as a result, Liz insists on Hellboy's survival. The angel then takes the spearhead from Hellboy and tells Liz to give him a cause to live. Liz kneels down in front of Hellboy and informs him that he is going to be a father. Hearing this, Hellboy immediately rises to his feet, completely recovered, yet stunned by Liz's announcement. Later, their goblin guide brings them to the Golden Army's center room, where Prince Nuada awaits them with his hostage. In the hopes of liberating Nuala, Abe offers Nuada the last crown piece, but the prince betrays them and awakens the Golden Army. Despite Hellboy and the others' best efforts, the 4,900 Golden Warriors look unbeatable. Hellboy then has an idea. He challenges Prince Nuada to a duel for command of the army. Nuada claims that Hellboy is not royalty, but Nuala claims that Hellboy is of royal lineage. He is a Nung Unrama, the Fallen One's son, and therefore the challenge must be fulfilled. Hellboy fights the prince across the chamber, eventually gaining the upper hand. However, he refuses to kill the prince. Nuala senses the wounds Hellboy inflicts on her brother while they battle. She comes to know that they are connected with some power, and whatever happens to Nuada, she will also be affected with it, and vice versa. Nuada is about to stab Hellboy in the back when he falls from chest discomfort. In a desperate attempt to stop her brother, Nuala stabbed herself in the heart. Before Nuala dies, Abe goes to her side and expresses his affections to her. After that, Nuada and Nuala are transformed into stone after their death. Now that Nuada is dead, Hellboy is declared the challenge winner by default. He takes the finished crown in his hands and muses aloud about the power the crown can now bestow. However, Liz grabs it from him and melts it before he can make a mistake, putting the Golden Army into eternal sleep. Manning and the other BPRD operatives have caught up to Hellboy at this time. Instead of providing an explanation, Hellboy, Abe, and Liz all hand in their belts and resign from the BPRD. Hellboy hesitates only a moment to reclaim his Samaritan gun. Manning asks Kraus for assistance, but Kraus just blows him off and joins the others. Hellboy recommends that he and Liz obtain their own apartment to raise the new baby. Liz comes to a halt and exclaims, "Babies," while putting up 2 fingers, indicating that she is expecting twins. Hellboy can only stare in awe and amazement as the movie ends on a happy note. And that was my recap of the movie. Hope you enjoyed it. Now comment on what your favorite part was and make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.